Hello there. I figured it'd be perfect being May 4th to start out by saying that. I wonder how many in the chat will kind of. There we go. There we go. Eric W. with it. There we go. You're a little delayed. It's about a 5 or 6 second delay. I want to see how many of you guys have the correct answer to hello there. But this was a fun Saturday night watching the Truck Series. That's about the best way I can put it. Kansas Speedway, really good, no matter what series is on it. This was the 2024 Heart of America 200. This race was 134 laps, 13 lead changes among 8 leaders, 3 caution flags on the night, and it was an hour, 30 minutes, 53 seconds. I don't know if they're going to follow too much up on it, but I know that looks like Lane Riggs and Cam Waters had a little bit of a disagreement on pit road. But overall, while it ended with a long run, and I know a lot of people, there we go, all the hello there's and General Kenobi's in there. I know a lot of people probably got bored by the end, but I thought overall it was a pretty fun race. There was a lot of racing for the lead throughout. There was a lot of 3 and 4 wide racing at different points. But it's Corey Heim time with the win, and ultimately you end up with a result that we end up with a lot. Whether you see that as unfortunate or not is what it is, but he won by just over 1 second on Zane Smith in second. Then after that, you got Eckes third, Honeycutt, solid 4th place run for Caden Honeycutt tonight. Brett Moffitt returns to a 5th place finish on the night as well. Nick Sanchez in 6th after starting from the rear of the field. Tanner Gray 7th. Dean Thompson, Brock Beard's pick for this race, 8th position, charging up through the end. Daniel Dye, I don't know if you heard, but he was racing in the top 10. Trust me, Michael Waltrip wouldn't stop talking about it. And then Matt Crafton, the final guy in the top 10, it looks like. It's funny because Fox actually at first put it as Curry in the top 10, and that's what I had put down. So Matt Crafton with the top 10 tonight. You got Bailey Curry in the 11th spot. After that, Grant Enfinger in 12th, 13th, Raja Karuth, and Brett Holmes finishes out those on the lead lap with a 14th place finish. A large amount of guys a lap down: Ty Dillon, Ben Rhodes, Jake Garcia, Lane Riggs, Cam Waters, Tyler Ankrum, and Mason Massey from 15th to 21st in that order were 1 lap down. 2 down for Timmy Hill, Matt Mills, Thad Moffitt, Stuart Friesen, and Lawless Allen from 22nd, with Hill all the way down in that order to 26th place, Lawless Allen. Taylor Gray, really good run going, just goes up in smoke. 3 laps down, 27th. Chase Purdy, 3 laps down, 28th. After that's Maggio. And Connor Mosack, 30th. 3 laps off the pace. Spencer Boyd, 31st. 5 laps down. And Jennifer Jo Cobb, 32nd. Final driver on track. The only one that was off the track was Ty Majeski. We're going to have the post-race results as well as our little logo up top. So results up here, and then logo up here. And if it changes, which I don't think this one will change, I don't think it's as crazy as Talladega, we will react accordingly. Really quick, though, I want to thank Eric W. for the 5 gifted memberships, and I'm sure everyone that got it is I like that Jennifer raced. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's her home track. And I remember we had her as random driver of the week. I can't remember for sure. And then Mike, thank you for the 5. Who would have thought Carson Hocevar actually had better insight and commentary than the entire Fox team put together? I think Brock Beard put it perfectly when he quote tweeted my tweet on Twitter and built upon it again perfectly, saying the consistent successes of these guest broadcasters in the booth proves how desperately we need new and more engaging talent. And I cannot agree more with him. He is so right on this aspect. Again, it's stale nowadays, and that's why these guys are just giving the insight of a modern driver. But because of how stale the booth can be, you see how difficult it really is to listen to and watch, and just in general. And then Fred Dog 81 for the 5, not to pile on Fox's TV coverage, but get a bigger room. All 4 guys look super uncomfortable in there when Carson joined. I can say this, at the track, those are just the ones that the track makes. I mean, they could probably renovate them. I know NASCAR, owns Kansas Speedway basically with ISC. But they're basically just given what the Speedway provides for them. By the way, click that like button. Let's just keep getting the likes up. Subscribe if you're new. Michael in the chat here saying, Carson did great. Drivers only Charlotte. That's right. He will be in the booth in Charlotte, I believe. Which again, I think would be pretty good. But let's talk less about the booth. Let's talk more about the on-track action, which again, a lot of people probably weren't crazy about, but I mean, I think it was pretty good throughout. Chase Purdy got the pole, and from lap 1, it's 4-5 wide. I saw a screenshot on Twitter that was 6 wide at one point on the initial start. Awesome to see. It's amazing to see in person, and it's been a while since I've watched a Kansas race on TV. I believe this is the first weekend since spring of 2022 I won't be at Kansas, and the only reason for that, I think, was because I was moving that week. So I'm glad it translates well to television, because this, I'm telling you, Kansas is a must watch in person. You got to go to a Kansas race if you have the ability to. I've been going since 2018, 19, somewhere in there. And outside of the 2020 550 aero blocking race, I have not witnessed a bad race at the Kansas Speedway ever. I cannot tell you enough how much you need to go to Kansas. And I'll say this, when they bring back Chicagoland, because I'm almost pretty sure from what things I hear, it's it's ready. It's getting ready at some point. When they bring back Chicagoland Speedway, it will be just like Kansas, one of the must-see races. You need to jump on those tickets. These tracks are weathered and aged at this point. I mean, Kansas was repaved and reconfigured 12 years ago. And the aging, it's just getting better and better. This is going to become the new Atlanta Motor Speedway, the sweet spot of the next 6 or 7 years. It's going to become a driver's racetrack in every way. And I cannot, again, just keep pushing and be a proponent of Kansas being one of the must-watch races every single season. I put it in my top 10 before the year. And it's not just because of those restarts, just because of the different lines they can choose. Every series is good there. You can race it during the day or at night, and it's going to be good racing. You really have to try hard to screw Kansas up, i.e. the 550 package, which I saw y'all talking about a little bit in the chat. I'm with you too. Bring back The Rock. I want to see The Rock. But yeah, Eric W. Kansas? Hey mom, look, is that a tornado? Actually, funny thing, I believe it was the year Bubba Wallace won? I think it was the year Bubba Wallace won, so 2022. Is it 22 or 21? I don't, because it might not have been the year Bubba won, but it was one of those years, and rain had started falling at Kansas for like 5 minutes and stopped. It was a bright sunny day. It was beautiful out. And, my dad and I were sitting in the grandstands, and I get a text from my fiance, then girlfriend at the time, and she's saying that her dad is blowing up her phone because he knew that I was at that race. Apparently, like a couple miles away, there was a tornado, and it was fun. And me and my dad didn't understand. I live in Tennessee now, but I'm a Midwesterner at heart, and so NASCAR is putting all these things like take cover, get under the sand, yada yada yada, and we're like, what the hell is the problem? And it's the most Midwest story of like, oh, there's a tornado going on. It's near the track. Yeah, let's just stay out and see if we can see it. That's Noah Coleman Vortex here. That's the ultimate Vortex here. They had the cars off the track at that point. I don't remember which year it was. It might have been the year Bubble won. It might not have been. I just remember it being just a total Midwest kind of story. Which outside of my apartment getting hit by a tornado in December, I'm usually pretty calm when there's tornadoes around, as long as you know it's not going to be near you. But we didn't really know until like almost right after it happened. But funny story there. Anyway, about the race, because I keep going off track. It's one of those nights. Majeski would wreck on lap 2, bring out the caution. This would end his night. This was the only caution out there. They had the 2 stage cautions, but Majeski's issue was the only caution for cause of this race, which again, very clean truck race. They are doing everything they can to prove me wrong about there being 1,000 caution laps this year, which is a real prediction I made at the start of the year on NWP. Anyway, we had what we would see a lot of through the night. It was a lot of racing for the lead up front. Purdy would take the lead, then Zane Smith would take it. You had this back and forth racing on the high side to the low side, changing throughout the run. And it was really good up front. You didn't know who was the favorite in the first probably 3/4 of this race. You knew who would be the players, but you didn't know who the actual favorites were, which I appreciate. Another story that they were talking about through this was also Nick Sanchez flying up through the pack, going from, I believe, 32nd or 31st was where they said he started, to like 10th or so, maybe 11th. But Heim would win stage 1 over Zane Smith, Eckes, Purdy, Honeycutt, Rhodes, Mosak, Ankrum, Ty Dillon, and Dye. Now, stage 2 is when Carson Hocevar joined the booth. I thought he brought a lot of good insight. I thought it was a lot of fun to hear him, because it's fun to hear somebody who's a cup guy, who's not as refined, and at the same time just will be more honest than some of these guys. I'm seeing on the TV right now, because I think I'm at a bit of a delay because of internet side of it, but I'm seeing the issues back and forth between Lane, Riggs, and Waters, and that's fiery, man. I wish we didn't cut away from it. I mean, nothing probably happened. I'm assuming if there's a fight, we got a team member coming in getting all upset. Okay, here we go. That's how they always keep them apart. Sorry, I'm just like watching in the moment as this is happening, and it's just funny to me. Like, I was right next to the Ross Chastain Noah Gragson fight last year, and it's just really fun watching the reactions be the same of this one, being like, oh man, they're gonna do it again. They're gonna do it again. Nothing happened. As is most NASCAR altercations. Most of these guys just don't have the cojones to actually fight. Not to say I would want to fight any of them, but or like if I were them, but is what it is. Anyway, we had stage 2, restart with the 19 and the 45 up front. Eckes would get the lead, then Zane Smith. And I will admit, stage 2 was kind of dull when it came to racing at the front. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of comers and goers. Zane would win this stage over Heim, Eckes, Honeycutt, Purdy, Brett Moffitt, Sanchez, Carruth, Mosak, and Rhodes. And then you get to the final stage. Sanchez would get the lead after Eckes. There's 3 and 4 wide through the pack behind him. And then Corey Heim gets past. And what really at this point, you're looking at this race, and it just comes down to the green flag pit stops. You saw the back and forth of like some guys making up 6 seconds based on slower pit stop and slower entry and exit off pit road. Especially with Honeycutt, that really cost him the race. He was in contention before the green flag pit stop. So at that point, you got guys like Heim, Eckes. These guys are way more experienced at doing this, getting on and off pit road. It's just stuff that Honeycutt's going to have to learn over time. Zane Smith with some slower stops, having to kind of make his way back up. And you could see how disappointed he was with this. But ultimately, Corey Heim outlasts them. The only real issue that happened on track after this was that one, as well as Taylor Gray having his good run ruined. But I mean, again, I still think a very solid race, just because not a bunch of, crazy jump out of your seat moments happen, doesn't mean the racing was bad in any way. And this again, they brought it up in the booth today, that this is the start of a really important stretch for the Truck Series, because you're thinking, oh, it's May, it's still pretty early in the season. But from today, May the 4th, to June 1st at Gateway, which, by the way, is a big Fox race. You have Kansas, Darlington, Wilkesboro, Charlotte, and Gateway. This 5-race stretch. And what this is basically after this 5-race stretch, you have a 4-race sprint scattered throughout the summer to the playoffs. So it's going to be important for some of these guys to hit their groove and make up a lot of points in this time, as well as secure those wins. And it's really odd looking through the rest of the truck schedule, because after the 5-race stretch, they're off until the end of June, where they're on Fox Sports 2 for Nashville, which I may be at that Nashville race. I don't know what I'm doing. I know for sure I'm going to try and be making the Cup race. But yeah, so we go from Big Fox on Gateway to Fox Sports 2 for Nashville. I think it was like a soccer game or something they moved it for. Not crazy about it. Yeah, the truck schedule is weird. It is. It's kind of like the IndyCar schedule where they just take breaks off in the middle. Similar viewership too. And that's not even like a dig at IndyCar. It's just, I don't think it's a coincidence that 2 series that struggle to keep people watching both schedule stuff with huge gaps between races at different points. But yeah, Nashville's truck race on, was it June 28th? Yeah, June 28th is on Fox Sports 2. So if you don't have that, you can tune in here. I'll be live afterwards. Maybe we'll have some people here. I don't know. But that is what it is, unfortunately. It kind of sucks that it just keeps getting pushed to the back, but oh man, I'm looking at, they really have to fill in the last 20 minutes of the Truck Series broadcast stuff. You can't just talk about the Cup race tomorrow. You have to show the 2020 highlights. Why 2020? I'm sorry. I know I'm getting off topic here, but Fox just turned on Radioactive for the 2020 fall race at Kansas. I was there. I don't want to see it again. It sucked. That's right. Yeah, CJ's in the chat saying this. Talladega for trucks is Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock in October. So let's see. I believe it's 5 Eastern time, right? So it's 5 Eastern time, 4 local time. Now I need to see this, because even as short as that race is, that seriously could be a race against the darkness. Wow. All right, I'm telling you now, Friday, October 4th, Talladega is going to be must watch. Sunset is 6:24. It means they have 2 hours and 20 minutes to not have a red flag, giant ass wreck, tons of cautions, overtimes, whatever. You have less than 2.5 hours of daylight in Talladega, because the sunset is 6:24 Central Time. So I know we're sort of turning this into a Talladega, or not a Talladega, a truck stream of just talking in general about it. And remember, when they have it scheduled at like 4 o'clock local time, it's really 4 o'clock is when the broadcast with pre-race and all these other things start. So I'm just saying, the Truck Series, either for good reasons or bad, is going to be must-watch television. And I think I'm excited for the next 5 races and having 5 weeks in a row of trucks. I love that. I wish we had Xfinity at Wilkesboro, like we have, Friday afternoon trucks, and then, or Saturday afternoon trucks, and then Saturday night. I wish we had that, but yeah, I mean, Yeah, we really could have a 4:15 to 4:20 green flag with sunset being at 6:24. Again, leaving us 2 hours, which in theory should get us easily to the end of the race. But again, this is the truck series. They could crash. There could be a big one, a red flag, overtime. God forbid you have a red flag and then overtime. Okay. We'll get to the rest of the stuff with Kansas in a moment. When was the last top 3 series race that was ended for darkness? Because I remember like in the mid 90s, I think Jeff Gordon won a Talladega race that was pushed back. And for people asking why Friday, I think it's because of Fox and NBC, or now the CW, because of their football schedule. Oh, yeah. No shit. I was there. Xfinity 2021. But that one pissed me off because they could have raced. Like, I was there. They could have raced. It was light enough. They could have. Yeah, that's another one I tried to block out of my memory, especially as someone who even before that was a Brandon Brown fan. I tried to block it out of my memory. But yeah, good call on my part. Before that, what was it? Yeah, it's college football that really got in the way when it came to scheduling at that point. That's why it's a Friday and not a Saturday. Yeah. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. Yeah, New Hampshire. I remember that one too because I had left right after. Man, there's been more than I remember. I guess none of the races in and of themselves were memorable. It was the stuff around it that was memorable. So I remember the races. I don't remember the why. Chicago didn't last year. Chicago was shortened, but it was also shortened, I think, before they even start. Well, I think it was shortened during. I don't know if you count shortened, I don't know exactly how you want to count it. Either way. The funny thing is Chicago is keeping the 75 lap mark. I think the city's probably like, that's good. Just keep it at that. Get the hell out quicker. Let's get to the final super chats. I'll keep looking at you guys in the chat. That's right, 2007. Damn, I made it. Can you tell my memory is just not great? I hear it gets worse as you get older. But thank you. I appreciate it. I will do my best to keep it up. Let's see. Looked at Fred Dogs. Twin spinner for the 5. Carson Hocevar throws out more Riz on camera than he has any right to. I hope he's watching this just to see that. Size Supersonic for the 250. It was Heim time tonight again. Well-deserved win. Yeah, it was well-deserved. Aaron, do you think Kansas would benefit from only having one race like Pocono did? Like if the only Kansas race was the round 12 opener? That's a good question. I mean, I think any track, at least attendance-wise, would benefit from having one date just because it consolidates their base into one weekend. So I would say, on that end, yes. The thing with Kansas is last year's fall race, I was there. It was a great crowd. It looks a little empty from the aerial because the bottom part of it, they did take out every other row for drink rails and stuff like that, which I think is just more right-sizing. Kansas was never going to draw in 100,000 people. Even in the heyday, it was difficult for them to get 80 to 100,000 people in. But even the spring race, I should say, the September race, which is, I believe, what this is now, is fine. It's been a traditional date since 2001. The spring date, though, I'll say last year the attendance did go up a lot. I'm interested to see what it is tomorrow. I am still, and you know what? Say what you want. I know it's probably a dumb idea. I am for making the round of 16 go by as quickly as possible. And just having Darlington on Sunday night and then a doubleheader Saturday, Sunday, Saturday night to Sunday afternoon Kansas weekend, and just getting the round of 16 the hell out the way. Having it done within a 7-day span so you can get to the nitty gritty. And I say this because when you look at NASCAR ratings in the playoffs and you look at how people, even diehard NASCAR fans, watch, they get drawn away by football. It's a plague in America at that point. And when you look at once stuff starts heating up in the round of 8, the viewership actually does start to go up again, especially the last 2 races, give or take. It's not great, but I think trimming the fat without trimming the races could help retain viewers, keep that audience retention. So that's my thinking with it. I'm good with it for now being 2 dates, but I think once their contract that I think goes through 27 or 28 runs out, I am A-okay with them, maybe giving a Kansas race to Chicagoland, although I believe the Chicago Street Race one will go to Chicagoland after, if my understanding is correct. So maybe another track that ISC could pick up or lease, something like that. I am all for schedule diversity. Hamilton Fanatic, I don't think the playoffs matter. If you're talking about viewership, the end of the playoffs do matter. But that's just the end of the NASCAR season in general. You saw it with the Chase. You saw it with the Winston Cup format. It's been that way since the 70s. Auto Club Short Track, yeah. If it ever happens. This sounds like the local and state governments are kind of getting in the way of that. And listen, I am a fan of doubleheaders. I understand why they won't do them if it's like Pocono. But man, I loved, don't get me wrong, I hated 2020, terrible year. But I loved the fact that in like a 21-day span, I got 8 cup races or something like that, and a bunch of Xfinity and truck, and there was NASCAR 5 days a week. It was freaking awesome. I loved that as a NASCAR fan. I would not have it back for why it happened, but it was really cool, and the fan part of me loved it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was fun as a NASCAR fan at that time. Do you think it's more and more likely there'll be a lockout in 25 if a charter deal doesn't get done? I don't think so. Just because I don't think the majority of the teams have the nerve to do it. I don't. I think NASCAR knows that too. It's a good question. I think guys like 2311 and maybe some others around them might, but I don't see the old guard like Gibbs or Hendrick or any of them ever stepping away like that. I don't see that happening. I even see NASCAR maybe giving teams kickbacks for staying around. I don't think they care if it's a 30-car field. If like 2 or 3 of the teams don't agree with don't show up, it's like they're not going to be racing. They'll make even less money if they're not racing. It's going to be interesting, but I think the teams are going to lose this one. I think NASCAR's done this before. They're doing it again. And I think the deal they put on the table that most of the teams sound like they want, I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah, I know. I loved midweek racing too. It was so fun. There were 2 NWPs we did, which, by the way, this Wednesday on my channel, going to be great. We actually have some announcements, by the way, for guests that you probably shouldn't miss. I'll just say that. It was so fun doing those as pre-race streams, or even post-race sometimes. Like the Texas one in November of 2020 when we had the Jimmy Johnson interview. But I don't think it's going to happen either. I would say the only way it happens if you put it on main NBC or main Fox. Give it a shot that way, but that's the only way I see it happening. Fred Dog, thank you for the 5. If Heim does well tomorrow, do they hold off Jones at Darlington? I know he's cleared, but take a chance on a hot youngster driver, or a hurt vet with wins there. I mean, I think they're going to bring him back. I think it's just right now is just trying to be, just trying, for the most part, just trying to play it safe. I think that's the best way to put it. And then last one, thank you to Michael Kelly Gilliam for the 5 gifted memberships. Yeah, I probably did a typo. Just let me know which one it is. Oh, hold on. Well, there's 2. Yeah, Brett Moffitt and Thad Moffitt. There's 2 Moffitts in the field. You had to differentiate them. So no, it's not a typo. It's like what they did on the ticker. But thank you, Michael, for the 5 gifted memberships. I see a lot more of the members in there. Yeah, no, I didn't. It's not a typo. That's what the when people have the same last name, like Robbie or Jeff Gordon, you'll see on the ticker back in the day, you'll see like 24 J Gordon and then like 7 R Gordon. Like we all knew who they are. I did the same thing when Ty and Austin Dillon were racing in Cup. Just that way somebody doesn't think I did a typo that I put the same person twice just because they'll say Dillon or Moffitt. You know, you can look on top and it'll say 46 T Moffitt. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I cannot wait for tomorrow. Cup at Kansas with this car is amazing, and I cannot wait to watch. Yeah, like tan gray. Yep. Just want to differentiate the drivers as much as possible. But thank you guys for coming out tonight. I will let you enjoy your Saturday night, and I will see you tomorrow. So till next time, have a good one. Later.